Alright, it's late July and we are here looking at mulberry. It's actually been in fruit for a while, but there are a few fruits still on here. You can see they're white and then they're going to turn red. We'll get close up of these fruits in a minute. And then eventually they will turn black. The fruits, this is Morus Alba, white mulberry, but it does have black fruit. At least this one does. This is actually a weeping clone of Morus Alba pendula. If we didn't have this trained up on a trellis, it would just be laying pretty much flat on the ground. You can see it's extremely weeping. So mulberry is very widely established in North America. It was planted in the 19th century. There were a lot of get-rich-quick schemes by raising silk. And of course there was never, a silk industry never developed in America. It's too labor intensive, but plenty of mulberry got planted all over the country. It's a big favorite of birds. In fact, I'm told that some orchardists plant mulberries just to distract the birds from the other fruit in the orchard. So from a Chinese medicinal perspective, this is an entire pharmacy practically. There are like 5 different herbs derived from the mulberry. The leaf is sangye, and that is disperses wind, heat, cools and drains the lungs and liver, calms the liver, clears the eyes. So it's a cooling herb. It's in the category of cooling herbs that release the exterior. And it also benefits the eyes because it goes to the liver channel. So it can cool that flaming liver heat that results in red, painful, itchy eyes. Let's see, then we have the twigs, which are collected at a certain time of year. We don't use it very often, but that's in the category of dispel wind damp. So it's helpful for pain and numbness in the extremities. The root bark is used to transform phlegm and stop cough. Sang bai pi. Pi means a kind of a peel or a bark. Sang is the word for the mulberry. This is sang bai pi. We had sang ye, the leaf, sang zhe, the twigs, sang bai pi, the root bark. Then a mild tonic, blood tonic, is sang shen, the dried fruit. So, as is typical with Chinese medicine, they want to get the fruits when they're still quite green and hard. You don't wait until it's ripe and juicy. So these are the dried fruits of the mulberry. Sang shen. And that gently nourishes and cools the blood. So the whole plant is cooling. So every part of it is cooling, consequently. Gently nourishes and cools blood, and yin moistens the intestines. So it'd be good for constipation. And then the final one, which we don't have around here, is a parasite, sort of like a kind of mistletoe that grows strictly on mulberry, and that's sang ji sheng, mulberry parasite. Tonifies the liver and kidneys, nourishes the yin and blood, expels wind dampness, which is what this one also does, the twigs. The genus of that is Taxillus. I don't know if it's found in America or not. I've never seen it. And then, of course, there are some aspects of the silkworm. Jiangsan is diseased silkworms, which is a Chinese medicinal herb as well. And so this herb is, these trees are very widely planted in China for the production of silk. That is to say, the production of silkworms, which then produce the silk. So it's an easily grown tree. It's a very large tree. The timber has all kinds of uses. It's rot resistant. All parts of the mulberry, including the sap, including the ashes, are used in Chinese medicine. Some of the more occult alchemical preparations, they want you to cook them with mulberry wood as the fuel for the fire. So lots of uses. This weeping one here is a beautiful garden tree, and we've tried very hard to propagate it. You could easily make arbor all by itself. Just prop it up until, after a while, you know, it'll get strong and be able to hold itself up. But at the moment it makes this nice little shaded sitting area here. Yeah, very productive. We don't get a lot of fruit because the birds get it all, unfortunately. One of the details that you find in Chinese medicine is a lot of the herbs want to be collected at a specific time. Leaves you would normally probably collect in the spring, but it's specified in the pharmacopoeia, or the materia medica rather, to collect these leaves after the first frost. They have slightly different medicinal properties. Here are some twigs that we collected. As I said, we don't use this a whole lot. I forget what the timing was on collecting the seeds. It's mentioned in Bensky's Materia Medica. On collecting the twigs, rather. I believe it was in the summertime. This is the root bark, Sangbai pea, which would be probably collected in the winter time. So dig up some roots and then peel them. This is the dried fruit, Sangshen. As I mentioned, it's not the nice ripe juicy fruit. These were probably picked rather small and green and hard and dried, but they are fully developed. And lastly, we have the mulberry parasite, Sangjisheng. So these are just slices of the mulberry tree which has been infected by the parasite. But actually this wood is probably the mulberry itself. So that's Sangjisheng.